that they would be accustomed to this or that, but they did not integrate to high schools until the next year when all the grades were integrated.
Ellen, I'd
Yes.
like to say I graduated in 1956. And I remember they brought you that spring for a tour of the school. Do you remember coming to that? Well, I remember they brought the black students for a tour.
Maddie still
And we
reads
were,
for-
that was my senior year.
Okay, Neil, read that for us.
Some of this Ellen might have mentioned, but I'm just going to read the bottom because I couldn't get it. Located on Shrewsbury and Lewis Streets, Garnet High School was at the center of the block called the African American Area of Business and Culture in Charleston. I think it's from that, maybe their internet site. This was actually the second Garnet High, the first one being on Jacob and Lewis Streets, some blocks away. Garnet's last commencement was in May 25th, 1956, after desegregation. A few years later, it became John Adams Junior High, while the new school was being built in South Hills. Then for years, it became an adult education facility. Today is operated as a historic nonprofit.
And Sandy Davis Evans, who came in just on time, she graduated, she was in the last graduation. Matter of fact, she was one of the honor students in the last class of 1956, right? Sandy is our vice president with the Garnet Foundation Incorporated. Okay, that works. Garnet High School was built 1928-29, also known as the County Technical High School, John Adams Junior High School, and that happened in 1956, in the fall of 1956. It's an interesting point. Henry Highland Garnet's last name is Garnett, but the people who were hired to draw the blueprints in 1928-29, someone misspelled Garnet. And rather than have the Kanawha County school system correct the problem, they just called it Garnet, Garnet. This is a picture, these are two pictures of the auditorium. Like I said, these pictures are from Jerry Waters, he does a great job. And our auditorium seats 384 people, not including the balcony, and the stage is big enough that Don Epps played basketball on. Did you play basketball on that stage, Sonny?
I played in the mural, I didn't
Okay.
play.
Okay. And Sandy, do you remember being in the auditorium or anything about the auditorium that you remember from your years up there?
I was a cheerleader.
Good girl, okay. Any memorabilia that anybody comes across over Garnet, we really want that, because one of our missions is to have one of the classrooms, or maybe two or three, as a museum to the history of Garnet. So if there's any memorabilia that anybody runs across, we'd love to have it. These are photographs of the hallway, the stairways, the interior. It's in wonderful shape. Sonny, I can't wait to show it to you. I'm serious, it's just awesome. It is awesome. Here's one of this is our boardroom. And over here in the very far left up there is a picture of Henry Highland Garnet. I think we have a better picture of it coming up. And we have our board meetings here. We watch what comes and goes at Manamil on Shrewsbury Street. That's always entertaining. It's better than cable. And so this room is the room Linda Andreessen said that she was in. She was up there in those years. And it was originally the library. Sandy Davis Evans' mother was a seamstress. And when Sandy was, before she started school, when her mother went downtown to buy fabric, tell us the rest of the story, Sandy. She would park you with the librarian
She
there.
would drop me off at the library, because she knew I'd be safe there, and I love to read. And so, whenever she would go to Peace Good Shop, she would we didn't have car, we were in a two-car family at that time, and we walked to the school, and she would drop me off, and I just had so much fun. The librarian knew us, and so I was in a safe place, and I was reading every book I could. So that it's funny you try to get young people to read now, but I did.
Sandy said some of the earliest books that she read were books about the Underground Railroad, and I specifically am asking anyone who has books about the Underground Railroad that they would like to donate to our library conference room. We'd really love to have them. In case you have them, we'll give them a good home.
Can Sandy tell us just a little bit about what was the book that they had out for black people?
About what?
The book that they had out?
Oh, in the library?
No, the book for if you were going someplace, the book
Green
for.
Book.
Yeah, the green book.
The Green Book,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where we would be able to stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It had, I'm sorry, I have to stand up because my voice is.
Go right ahead, yeah.
But they had a green book. Being a cheerleader, our Miss Spurlock, everybody had to know where we could stay, and it had the list of homes, and basically we stayed in other people's homes, and because we couldn't stay in hotels at that time.
Love to have a copy of that, and in case, a
Yes.
little more on this, and I didn't know about this either, but apparently someone published the little green book
Yes.
that told black people who were traveling in the United States during segregation, safe places to stay, safe places to eat, and et cetera. And Jackson, I don't know how much of this you knew, because kids your age just do not know that in the United States prior to 1960, this was the norm. It gives me goosebumps even thinking.
Well, in the black, baseball league, that's the way they stayed in people's homes because
Yeah.
they couldn't be in the hotel.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't that, I played baseball, but, I stayed in the Y up in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Do any of you have, you've seen a green book, you've had copies of green books, right? Well, that's another thing I'd love to have a copy of, and there's probably a gazillion of them on Amazon, yes.
I had a copy on, and you know, we're doing a big cleanup right now.
Yeah.
And if I find it,
Wonderful,
I will give it.
wonderful.
Because
So
we travel,
this-
and when you travel, my father, my mother, when we traveled, that green book was with us in case we needed to stop and stay.
Yeah, amazing. This is an original oil painting of Henry Highland Garnet that is in the possession of the Garnet Foundation Company, Inc. It's hanging on the wall up right there in the left-hand upper corner. And charming guy. He looks really cranky doing it. But
he was a preacher.
that's Henry Highland Garnet. He was a preacher. Now, I've got a question. Was this painting original? Where did this painting come from? Do any of you all remember?
I don't know.
You don't know where it came from, some of that memorabilia. There is, now we're into the era of 1956, 57. I can't read that guy's name. He was the
William
principal.
Klein,
Was the
principal at that time.
This was
Dick
Dick
Sidebottom.
Sidebottom, Richard Sidebottom.
Coached it.
It says he was a dean, but he might have been.
He also
principal.
taught general science, physical science, physical education.
Cause he left Garnet and was principal at Hayes.
At Hayes, yeah, that's what there's our Betty Burdette, was director of the nursing program up there. And these are, it's the Amandaville Junior Grays, and I don't know if that picture's good enough for Dawn and Sonny to pick out. You recognize names in there.
Yeah, well, Sonny's on there, I'm on there. Yeah. Farmer's on there. Cuba Smith.
There you go.
Leonard Brightwell.
Right, well.
Leonard Brightwell was the only white player that on our team.
Okay.
We did not discriminate. If somebody wanted to join our team, they could join our
But
team.
several guys from St.
Yeah.
Albans have been, Henson,
Yeah.
Henson and Terry Play and
Yeah.
a guy named, that worked down at the block company.
Yeah.
I forget what his name
Yeah.
was.
We
Bill.
Atkins.
East.
We played a team one day, and it was our team was all black and their team was white. And after the game was over, they had a dispute, and 3 guys from their team came over and joined our team, and played with us for the next 2 or 3 years.
I asked Leonard Brightwell why he played with your team the last time when we talked about the grades a couple of years ago, and he said because it was the best team around.
Yeah, it was.
So, this is another, Halls Park.
Yeah.
Where was Halls Park?
Right up on 60 up there, stop 16 up there where
Yeah.
the paint.
Right above your place, right above where y'all sell the molasses.
Yeah.
As you cross, there was a little gully there, right down to the left. There's a auto place that sits right in there, close to it.
Yeah.
Where they fix the dents and stuff.
Go back one, Ellen, you said that was Mr. Washington was there in the suit?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Eugene
No,
Washington's
he
over
kept
there on the
scrolling.
Over
left.
here on this side.
He graduated, Sonny, he was older than you, wasn't he?
Yes.
A lot, a little.
No,
So-
but a year or two.
Okay, because he went,
On the back row back there, the guy with the hat on and the suit, not the next guy, but the guy beside him, that's me. And the guy beside me with his head kind of slightly turned, that's Sonny. Okay.
and that's the Halls Park, and
Mhm.
that's another,
Eugene kept all our scores.
yeah. And this is one of the football teams, that is in, the photograph is in front of the Garnet building. Those doors and windows behind there are the main entrance into the lobby to the auditorium. And at this point, I'll tell you again, April the 25th, which is a Friday, the Esquires, none of whom are here, the Esquires actually rented a rehearsal room from us in the building May of last year. And part of their deal is a benefit concert for Garnet. And we have scheduled our benefit concert for May the 25th, it's a Friday evening, in the auditorium, and I expect all of you to be there. Well, you'll hear more about it, tickets and that sort of thing.
April or May?
April or May.
April the 25th, I'm sorry, thank you. This is the crowning of Miss Halls Park. Willa, stand up and take a bow. That's Willa.
Which one?
Absolutely.
She's one getting ground.
Dick being crowned?
Yeah. That's Sonny's sister on the left-hand side, Marlon.
In the white dress with the flowers,
Yes, that's Sonny's sister.
She was my classmate.
Marilyn Smith.
Oh, yeah, she
We
was.
were best friends. You don't remember, I spent the night at your house.
This is an excerpt from I have a thumb drive with the original 1928-29 blueprints. There's probably 120 pages. We've been all around and all over with them. And because I draw house plans and have been doing this for 50 plus years, this is a dying art form where this was drawn by hand with a straight edge and what are those?
T-squares?
T-squares. T-squares, and yes. And so, I love this particular drawing. I like it in the black and white. We've talked about putting color to it. Everybody seems to like that idea, but hopefully this is where we will have people coming in now for the program, and that was it now. Does anybody, Jeff, we really need for you to come up there soon too, okay? And John Caudell, he did something you didn't work for the Kanawha County School Board, did you?
No,
You worked for someone who did internet and wiring and things like that.
computers and stuff
Okay,
like
well,
that.
the guys that were there in with the Kanawha County Technical High School, when they looked at that stuff, the Board of Education walked out and left us a marginal amount of equipment. Cameras and a computer that goes with them and that sort of thing. There's Ethernet wires throughout the building for internet. And, anytime somebody wants a tour, one of us will be available to. Linda, Andreessen, do you have anything else to add to?
I do.
Okay.
I do. First thing I want to say is I am so very sorry for everything that you had to go through. I think some of us, we know maybe a little, but we really don't understand fully until we attend something like this. And I'm very, very sorry. But I want to assure you that things did get better after you were there. I was there 11 years, and Henry Garnet was over my head. My desk was just below him, so he looked over me for 11 years while I was
That
there.
painting?
That painting.
Okay.
Yep, it was on the wall right there. And we had, someone asked about this earlier, we had a full working cafeteria there, hot meals. We had a school-age expectant mothers program. We had a nursing program. We had a business ed program. I worked in what was called the Learning Lab. I taught adult ed, and I worked with adults who came to learn to read. We had a wide range of people, and I wanted you to know this. One of my favorite students, his name was Henry English. He was a minister up on Wirtz Avenue. He came to me every day and we read the Bible. And I went to his funeral. I was the only white person there. I loved him more than anything. We also had probably some homeless people that came every day. We had to open the windows when they came, but you know, everybody was welcome. Everybody was welcome. And we also had an English as a second language program. And so we had people who lived off the street on one end, and we had surgeons' wives upstairs. So we had a gamut of every kind of person that you could imagine. And I wanted to let you know that that's what this school became, is what it should have been in the beginning. But we did get there. So thank you.
We want it to be that soon, and I think it's happening, like it's happening. Anybody else have anything to add?
I wanted to comment on what she said. I remember your face because I was working out as a social worker, school social worker, and the school-age expectant mothers program was something that the county needed, and we had a social worker assigned to that program, and English as a second language was the other program in the school system that we needed to be able to refer students to. So that brought back good memories for me, that when you said that, because being in the last graduating class, Garnet is dear to me. And like Willa said, she wanted to have been in that class, and we were just so glad that we did get to graduate from Garnet. Don 1 year ahead of me, and 55, and then in 56. Another lady aboard with me, she was in class with Willa, and so she had to go and to another school. But it was good that they adjusted, but seeing later on, as I said, with that school-age expectant, my Georgia Ann Ferris was, yeah, she was that, and she loved doing that.
The other thing I could ask too, anybody with those memories, Linda, and I've asked Sandy before, any of that you take a piece of paper and jot down some of those notes or anecdotes and things like that. We'd like to have any and all of that we can. And we'd like all of you to come up and tour the place. And because it's awesome, son. Those guys from the technical high school, have they talked to you about the condition the building was in?
Well,
What did they say, Jeff?
I talked to Malika, and I said, Malika, since the building is supposed to sold and everything, I said, why don't y'all put a thing in the paper about former students coming up and help them clean the building up for the party or dance? I said, we'd be glad to come up here and help them do something.
You heard that, Dawn. We got it. We'll get you up there for sure. You wait and see. So, yes, Dawn has something else to say. Go for it.
Yeah, well, I've got just a printout of one of the book series that we had. And I just thought maybe somebody might want them, so I shot about 25 copies, and this is one. But this is a copy of all the black schools that had existed in West Virginia.
Oh,
Every black school, the school and where it was located. Aquaville was located in Buffalo, and Buffalo was in Aquaville, and Bird Kremlin was in Amigo, and Douglas was in Huntington. So anybody who wants to print out these right here, you can
Yes,
have
I
them.
need one, thank you.
Yeah, and then also, I just wanted to ask, this is just to get your curiosity up. This is not 2020 questions or whatever, but did you realize that there was a black hotel on Main Street here in St. Albans?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you realize that at one time there was a black beach out Cold River?
Yeah.
Strawberry, Cold River Road, there was a black beach.
In
Okay, so those are the type of things that.
Where was it?
Willow Bend.
Willow Bend, and it's in this blue book,
Mhm.
in this blue book, that some of you, I think, Greg brought his, this is the front of it. This book has a section on, the black residents in St. Albans. And I've not been a particular fan about part of this book, but this particular section on black history was very, very informative. And it talks about and shows a picture of Willow Bend, which was and Don and I talked about this, and this is another one of those injustices, that Willow Bend was down Coal River from the white beaches,
Yeah.
okay? And probably by design. But this book has pictures of the Carter G. Woodson Stop 16, before it was added onto, and has pictures of some of the other black schools in St. Albans, some of the other families, black families in St. Albans. So this is mine with all the litter in it. You're welcome
You
to
might
look
want
through
to
it.
remind them, tell them also about Carter G. Woodson on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yes, and this is part of kind of what got us started. We met here in December with a woman named Sandra Scafidi, who was writing a request to have the Carter G. Woodson, now the American Legion building, put on the Historic Register of Structures. And I brought Don and Kevin, Linda was here. We looked at the book, the blue book, to try to collect some information about, and I've been trying to piece this together since December, about the chronology, about where some of these schools were. Most of them were in Amandaville. One of them was out Red's Hill, up in Rosedale or something, Roseville. And yes, and so, matter of fact, didn't Dawn and Kevin say that elementary school was very near your brother's house?
My grandmother's
house,
My
yeah.
brother stays there now.
Yeah, and so those schools then in 1933 kind of went away. And I also wondered, did Roland Hayes have any connection with St. Albans?
It didn't matter.
Well, the school was, but the name
Oh, the
Roland
name
Hayes.
Roland Hayes.
Yeah, when I Googled it, Roland Hayes was a well-known American tenor, a black guy who was a singer.
Yeah.
And so somebody, I'm sure, just came up with it. Roland
Yeah.
was a popular name.
Somebody
so
liked
they
it.
did. Yeah. Yeah. So Willa Dye Anderson has some stuff over here. I need to grab one of those right now. Don Epps has some stuff here. And I had a bag with some other stuff in it, but it didn't make it to the table yet. So let's adjourn this meeting. Does anybody have anything? That Lisa has something she wants to say.
I want to get a picture of the group before you leave today. And then
Okay.
also, we have that project, you know, I talked about it a couple months ago. We're gonna be looking to bring this history online as part of our website in the next year. This is an area that is just sorely lacking online. So if you want to be a part of that, please let me know. We'd love to have your stories, your pictures, your memories, so that we can get that into print and save it. for-
Memorabilia,
Yeah,
any of
anything you
it.
want to share that we can take pictures of and upload, and just get that digitized so that we have it and have it online for other people to see.
Sonny, you had.
Yeah, do you have any idea on how my dad got to get all the merchants in St. Albans to buy our uniforms and give us all our equipment to play baseball with.
Tell that story. How did he do it?
I don't know, and then I also asked him, because we worked for, he and I used to work for a contractor named Ray Wheeler here in St. Albans. And Ray Wheeler hauled his own blocks to the job. And I asked my dad, I said, were you losing your mind when you put all of us in the back of that 16-foot truck and drove us to Clendenin to play baseball?
So if you went to school at Garnet, Linda has something she wants to say, but if you went to school at Garnet, Lisa would like for you to come up here so that maybe we could click back to Henry Highland Garnet. Come on up and let's get a group picture. And is there any, Linda wants to say something. Go
Well,
ahead.
I just want to say that I have been on a tour of Garnet, thanks to Ellen, and it's phenomenal. It's the most unappreciated, underused building that Charleston has, and I don't understand the political arena up there, but I think Charleston is missing the boat. That auditorium holds almost 400 people. There could be so many activities going on. And I don't know, do you have an answer as to why Charleston doesn't?
No, I don't, you're begging me, Linda, and I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you.
It is a shame.
It is, but
It's a shame.
I really feel like this year is our year to soar, to fly, and I think that we're definitely making progress, and we can keep Kevin under control. We've got this thing made. Our only income at this point are rentals on the building, and so we've all become landlords, and some of us have a Shylock that's been coming out in us to keep but we're making it happen. We always need potential board members. And Willa Di Anderson's daughter would be a younger person on our board. So, I'm officially recruiting, and we're really making it work. And like I say, you got to come up and look at it. You'll fall in love with it. Esquire's concert, April the 25th on a Friday night. So, anybody have anything else, or let's have refreshments? Roseville. In 1933, the Kanawha County school system established themselves and took all of the schools under their jurisdiction. And so in 1935, in the American Legion building, there was a school there, the Carter G. Woodson School, for 7th and 8th grade. In 1936, they added the 9th grade. In 1928-29, 1933 or so, the Carter G. Woodson School was moved to Stop 16. They had 8 classrooms, bathrooms, gymnasium, a cafeteria, and at the time, and I think it's because there was some overlap there, it was known as Stop 16, wasn't it, son? Stop 16. And then somewhere about 1940, it became known as the Carter G. Woodson School at Stop 16. So it went from 1st grade to 9th grade eventually, because Don Epps went to school there, Sonny went to school there, Willa, you went to school there, and then when they graduated from the 9th grade, they went to Charleston to the Garnet High School building, which is on Shrewsbury, and it's between Shrewsbury and Dickinson Streets. And now Willa, see, Don Epps graduated from there in 1955. Sandy Davis Evans, who's missing this morning, graduated in 1956. Willa had the distinction of being in the first integrated class at St. Albans High School. She graduated in 1957, Willa. And so she went to Garnet her sophomore, junior years, and then went to St. Albans High School. And I'm going to ask all of these people to stand up after I get to go through this little bit of history. I'd like to call on people to give us their experience with Garnet. So, the St. Albans students were bused to Garnet High School for the 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. In 1956, Kanawha County Schools integrated. 1957, and this was a new piece of the history. In 1957, the building opened up as the Kanawha County Technical High School. And at Jeff and Grace's party at Christmas time, I met a couple of guys, Lloyd McIntyre and Harry White.
Frank White.
Who?
Frank.
Frank White, okay. And they went to the Kanawha County Technical High School. And then there was a big power thing that went on because the folks in South Hills wanted a junior high school. So they kicked the technical high school out. And I was hoping those guys might be here for a little bit, but they had, some of the stuff they have is here. And actually, when they were the Kanawha County Technical High School, Richard Sidebottom, the uncle to Steve Sidebottom, was the dean up there.
Principal,
Pardon?
principal.
Well, I thought principal too, and he could have been, but the paperwork the year that I got paperwork for, he was a dean and somebody else was, so he might have moved up. I think you could be right. And I wouldn't argue with you, Then, so John Adams Junior High School was there from about 1961 to 66 or 67. And when they opened John Adams Junior High School in South Hills, after that, it became, in the 70s, it became a career center for industrial arts and adult education. And the big reveal is in September of 2023, the building was deeded to the Garnet Foundation, Inc. And Don Epps is our president, Kevin is our vice president, I'm the secretary, Sandy Davis, and we have a board of people. And the Garnet Foundation, Sonny said he wants to come up and help us with the place, Don, so we need to get him up there. And when the guys from the technical school went through, it was like nostalgia. It's just a wonderful building. It's in great shape. The names, I have mentioned some of them, Sonny Smith, Hubert Smith, and their sisters. The farmers, Maddie and Lewis, went to school there. Don Epps, his brothers and sisters, Sandy Davis Evans, Willa Di Anderson, Richard Sidebottom, Lloyd McIntyre, and Frank White. And Betty Burdett was the director of the nursing program up there. I ran into her, and some of the books that I have on it have her pictures in it. And Linda Anderson was a teacher up there from 1975 to 86. Okay, I thought it was around there. And Malika Knapp-Smith was an adult education teacher there. And John Caudell and Jeff Bourne had something to do with the mechanics of the building. And so I'm going to start off and ask, let's start from the beginning. Probably the person that has the longest history is Don Epps, who graduated from there in 1955, and Willa Di Anderson, who was there you were there till 1956. So, can you want to start out, Don, and give us just a few minutes, and you're fine, just right where you are, you can use the mic.
The one with the most longevity though would be Sonny Smith.
You're right, Sonny Smith was
a couple
there.
classes ahead of me.
What year did you graduate, Sonny?
53, I think.
Okay, you're right, thank you, Don. Yeah,
Just for your record, I wanted to.
yeah. Sonny, do you want to start out giving us give us a little, what was it like to go to school up there? Your buses, you didn't get
It wasn't very pleasant, I tell you.
Really?
We had to catch the bus at 7. 4 high schools was in just 15 minutes. I could have been to 4 different high schools around here.
Yeah.
Now I'm driving all the way up there. We're driving all the way up there for an hour and a half in the morning, and then get back home 6:30 in the evening. And I had gardens to do in my house. I didn't have time to be killing all our time and wasting time going all, I thought it was awful. I thought it was awful.
You made a lot of good friends up there, didn't you?
No, not really, cause the people from up Charleston doesn't like us very well. They don't like us. No, my friends, most of them from Institute and St. Albans.
What was the education like? Did you get a good education?
I had great teachers.
Okay.
Jim
Name some of
Jarrett,
your teachers.
Jim Jarrett, who coached football, and Miss Norman. My homeroom teacher was Miss Williams. My biology teacher is Prof. Moore. He made us go out and pick up 50 flyers every year and name them.
Yeah.
And my music teacher was Miss Harris, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Harris.
I didn't play any sports because you practiced after school, and I wasn't getting home at 8, 9 o'clock at night catching a city bus, transit bus. Didn't make any sense to me. I thought it was stupid.
Yeah. Don, what was your experience like?
Well, mine was just a little bit different. I made a lot of friends up there, basically because a lot of it was because I fell in love with and started dating girls from up there, from the west side. So I basically, I played sports. I played basketball and I played baseball. And like Sonny said, we'd actually, on A Street, we'd actually go up to catch that bus at 6:30 in the morning. To get to Garnet, and we get up to Garnet, and by the time we got there, of course, we did, before we got to Garnet, you're not on Carter G. Woodson yet, but we passed Carter G. Woodson Junior High School, which is now McKinley, which is getting ready to close. But that's where we went to junior high school. And so basically, by the time that I got through with practice, they would give me bus tickets, and I would catch the big red bus, the transit bus. I'd catch the big red bus out there. I had to walk out and catch it, and then by the time I got to St. Albans and got off at the bus station up on 6th Avenue, and then I would have to walk there regardless to however the weather was, snow, wind, sleet, or whatever. I'd walk from there down to A Street, which is a good mile. I'd walk down there, and I'd get home and basically get a bite to eat, and maybe spend 20 minutes or half an hour or so on my homework, because it's almost 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever. So then when I get there to do that, then get up in the morning and catch that bus at 6:30 and go back and do the same thing. But I did that during basketball season, and I did it during baseball season, and I did not play football. Two reasons I didn't play football. I was pretty good at football. Sonny was too. Should have played. He should have been the quarterback. But basically, the reason why that I didn't play football was because, first of all, my mom did not want me to. Yeah, but you know how it is with boys, you know, a lot of times you just go ahead and do it anyhow, which I would have, but I said I wanted to play those other two sports, and so I forewent football. But if I had not done that, every day when I went to school, I would have been coming home at 8 o'clock or so at night, every day. And so, you know, and what they would do is they'd give you tickets to ride the transit bus. And you were on your own after that. After practice was over, you were on your own to be able to do this or do that. And you know, you're in a strange land. I might say you're 13 miles away from where you live. And so that went on every day. My experience with the teachers was that the education was good. The facilities were conducive for what we were doing, but the materials that we were using was not. Some of the materials we were using was secondhand material. And whenever the new educational process or the books and everything came out, basically we did not get the books the first couple of years that the books came out. And so, you know, it was that type of disadvantage. Sports teams were segregated or whatever. But during my senior year of high school, we played in basketball. We played a game at Glenville High School, and then we played another game at Nitro High School. And the game we played at Nitro High School, they said it was a game against the junior varsity, and I think that's the only way that we could have been implied, you know, with playing that game here in Kanawha County, was for them to say that it was a junior varsity. But we played a game there, and then in baseball we played 2 games that same year. Played one against the South Charleston. I played Alex Hawkins and Ronnie Steele and that group from South Charleston. Alex Hawkins went on to South Carolina and played a little bit of pro ball. And then we played St. Albans, played Pete Peters, Stags Meredith, and that group. Those were my good buddies because we played basketball together at Central grade school. Yeah. We played basketball the whole weekend together. We would kind of group together. We'd all pal around together. And then come Monday morning, they went their way to St. Albans High School. We went up and caught the bus and went all the way to Garnet, which was ridiculous, you know, because we all got along together in the community. Larry Banfield lived right around the corner from me, and Dr. Henson, I think he was down in Hurricane. Sammy was a really good friend of mine. He lived right around the corner from me, and so we, you know, those were the type of things that we did, and we were able to go to St. Albans High School for the football games. But basically, we kind of like sectioned ourselves off because everything else that we did back then was sectioned off. We could not go to the movie theaters here in St. Albans. We couldn't sit down in any of the restaurants here in St. Albans. You could go into Blossomsbury or to Valley Bell, whichever one it was. Yeah, but you couldn't sit down. But you could go in there and order a hot dog or a soda to go, and that was it. You know, and if you sat down, you had a problem. But we could go to Nitro. And we could sit in the theater down there. The only thing was that they had one side of the theater that was reserved for us, and about 6 rows back, they had white sheets across the seats. And so when we went in, we had to sit below the white sheets. Behind the white sheets, if you sat behind the white sheets, the ushers would come down and tell you that you needed to move up. So we sat below, you know. And if that's close to the screen, a lot of times you don't want to sit that close to the screen, you know. But that's what we had to do there. And I mean, there's just so many other things I could say, you know, or whatever it's that. But related to the school, you know, basically, this was just part of the culture growing up. This is what you kind of like had ingrained in you when you were, you know, back in that daytime when you were going to school. You had all this ingrained in you. And after that, of course, we moved on to West Virginia State, and we got over West Virginia State, and they integrated the school. And so basically, over there was when we first had our contact with classroom activities with whites or whatever. Sonny had a good buddy that he used to ride with all the time. Herc McGraw, everybody knows Herc. Herc was one of the first ones that over there. And my neighbor over in Cross Lanes, I can't think of his name now, but he and I were in several classes together. There was a guy from down to Milton named Earl Racer, and basically we'd get rides with these people. Frank Justice was from down in Nitro, the Justices. And so that was it. But all as a whole, Garnet was a good school, and we had some good experiences there. If you wanted to go to a basketball game or whatever, this is not only just for the athletes, you know, like me, but anybody else that wanted to go, your parents or whoever else wanted to go to the ball game, they had, like the game was being played at Lakely Field, and they had to ride the bus up there. Get off the bus or on Washington Street and walk straight out of Leslie Street or whatever to the Lakely Field, to the ball game. And after the ball game was over, come back out and catch a city bus and come on back to St. Albans. And the thing was that our games, all of our football games were played on Thursday night. Yep. We could not play on Friday night or Saturday night. Why do you think that was?
The white teams.
The white teams were playing on Fridays and Saturdays. So we had to play on Thursday nights. That's the type of things that you know, and back during that day and time, I mean, there was nothing else you could do about it. So, you know, you just had to grin and bear it, but those were the things that you had to go through. I mean, there's a ton of other stuff that I could say, but she didn't ask me to say it all right now.
May I make a point of time? I watched all the St. Albans High School games from the trees and behind the fence on the scoreboard.
Go through the fence, through that.
Yeah.
Don, did they feed you lunch?
Who's this now?
Did they feed you lunch at school?
No.
No.
You
No,
brought your
you
lunch.
brown bagged it. Now,
I
during,
went down on Silver Street and got it.
yeah, now during the latter years, I think they did have a cafeteria, but I'm not really sure as to whether they served hot meals or
Yes.
whether you just took your, and what they would do, we were in English class from a man by the name of Lewis Barnes. He was a really good Shakespeare teacher or whatever. But we were in his class, and the assistant coach, Marvin Richardson, who went on to coach at South Charleston, we call it Pinhead, but anyhow, it was lunchtime for that little lunchroom to open. And there was a partition between his class and the lunchroom. And Mr. Reverend, I didn't know I'm a church man too, but Coach Richardson knocked on the petition to have Mr. Barnes to open the petition from his side so they could expand the lunchroom. And Mr. Barnes was teaching Shakespeare. He was doing he was doing all that, you know. And so he kept knocking on the door, and so he just let him knock. And he knocked, and so finally after about 5 minutes, Mr. Barnes went over and he said, "Class dismissed." And he opened up the thing, and Mr. Richardson came in. They almost had a fight right there, because that classroom that we were in was part of the lunchroom. So that's kind of like the thing that we. Right.
Did you have a prom?
Oh yes. Yeah, we had everything that the white schools had basically like that. Yeah, we had prom, sweetheart day.
Was that held at the school or else?
No, it was held at the what do you call it, over across the bridge there in North Charleston, whatever that rec center was over there. There was a rec center right over there. There was a baseball field there was called.
Willie, is that the place that you told me the year that you were at St. Albans High School in 1957? A teacher you knew the year before rented a place on the west side and had a prom for you all?
Yeah, Mr. Barnes was who did this. We had, because when they integrated the schools, my senior year was spent at there. And of course, I was very disappointed that I didn't get to graduate from Garnet. But you have to do what you have to do. Yes. And once I got through the year, I was really happy that I did get to experience what it was like, you know, to be there, to be in another school where everybody, where your race didn't count. It wasn't a happy year for me. Everybody was nice. I have to say that. There wasn't any problems, you know, but we missed out on a lot of things there that we would have been able to do had we been going to our school, you know, Garnet. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you always look forward to is going to the senior prom. I mean, that's a big deal, you know, going to the senior prom, and you know, who's going to take you to the prom, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, see, by being new at St. Albans High School, no one, I don't know, maybe they came to somebody else, but there were only about maybe 8 or 9 of us that were seniors, you know, up at St. Albans High School. And that during the time we were there, the school had a lot more students, I think, than they do now. So anyway, Mr. Barnes, who was one of the teachers that he was talking about, he decided that he was going to give us a prom. So he contacted all of us. We were scattered out all over the place, but he found all of us, and he found a place on the North Charleston Rec Center is where it was. That's where it was. He rented that out and got in touch with us and told us what we needed to do and da-da-da-da. And that's where we had our senior prom. He didn't want us to feel left out and be a senior and not be able to experience all that. So I'll always remember him for thinking about us because it was quite an experience. I was happy to be there in one way and unhappy in other ways. I'm glad after I got out of school, I was glad that I got to experience it and see what it was going to be like, you know. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but we just felt like we were never a part of this of anything there because, you know, no one asked us to. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but nobody ever asked us, you know, do you want to become a part, or would you like to join this, or would you like, nobody did that. Teachers were very nice. They were very nice, and the students were too. I always think back about that now that I'm older, and I think back, well, you know, they did whoever got them prepped for us coming to St. Albans High School, they did a good job with it, because the students weren't nasty. Nobody ever said anything, you know, about us, and there were only about, like I said, only about 8 or 9 of us that were seniors in that whole class. So when we got off the bus and, you know, went into the school that morning, we didn't see each other anymore until school was out because of that. But I was glad that I got the experience of being there. And of course, later on, I guess it got to be better. You know, people, they accepted us and we could be a part of things. But it was quite an experience. And in some ways, I'm glad I did get to experience for that.
Before I forget to do this, Neil and I put together a PowerPoint that's gonna show you some pictures of Garnet High School today and now, and a little bit of historical stuff. So, Neil, can you read, these are